Ambassador Zekthara's mandibles clicked nervously as she reviewed the holographic display floating before her. The Galactic Council chamber buzzed with the chittering, growling, and harmonic tones of 100 different species, all united in their unanimous decision: war against the humans. "The motion passes," declared High Counselor Vorthak, his crystalline form pulsing with authoritative blue light. "The human species of Sol 3 has been deemed too dangerous to coexist with civilized galactic society. Their aggressive expansion, their refusal to conform to standard diplomatic protocols, and their disturbing tendency toward violence in conflict resolution leaves us no choice." The chamber erupted in approval. The Keth delegation's bone-white exoskeletons gleamed as they raised their arms in triumph. The gas-form ethereals swirled in celebratory patterns. Even the normally peaceful Verdani swayed their leaf-crowned heads in agreement. Zekthara alone remained still. As the Council's xenobiologist, she had spent 3 cycles studying human behavior, culture, and history. What she had discovered made her stomach acids churn with unease. "Counselor Vorthak," she said, her voice translator rendering her words in the chamber's common tongue. "I must protest this decision. My research indicates—" "Your research is noted and dismissed," Vorthak interrupted, his light shifting to a dismissive yellow. "Humans are primitives. They have barely achieved faster-than-light travel. Their military technology is crude projectile weapons and chemical explosives. We have plasma cannons, reality-warping shields, and the combined might of 10,000 worlds. This will be over in a matter of solar cycles." The chamber buzzed with agreement. Admiral Thekvor of the Keth Armada stepped forward, his massive frame casting shadows across the floor. "I have personally reviewed their capabilities. They cannot even achieve unified planetary government. How can such a divided species hope to stand against us?" Zekthara's translator picked up the irony in her voice as she replied, "Admiral, that division may be exactly what you should fear." But her words were lost in the general commotion as the Council began planning their glorious, short-lived war. 3 solar cycles later, the first reports began trickling in. "The human colony on Kepler 442b has disappeared," Admiral Thekvor reported, his usual confidence notably absent. "Not destroyed, disappeared. The entire population evacuated overnight. Our advanced scouts found only empty buildings and a single message spray-painted on the colony administrator's office." "What did it say?" Vorthak demanded. "Thanks for the warning. See you soon." Signed with something called a smiley face. The council chamber fell silent. Within a 10 cycle, the pattern became clear. Humans weren't standing and fighting like civilized species. They were evacuating, scattering, vanishing, into the void between stars. Worse, they were taking their technology with them and improving it. The first human counterstrike hit the Keth mining facility on Asterion Prime. The attack lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, the facility was gone, the Keth garrison was floating in escape pods, and every piece of mining equipment had been stripped and stolen. The humans left behind another message. "Thanks for the upgrade materials, Admiral Thekvor's." Mandibles ground audibly. "How did they penetrate our defenses?" "They didn't," his tactical officer reported, confusion evident in his pheromone emissions. "They went around them, under them, through maintenance shafts we didn't know existed. Sir, I think they spent months mapping our facilities before we even declared war." Zekthara watched the reports flood in with growing dread. The humans weren't fighting a galactic war. They were fighting 100,000 small wars, each one different, each one precisely targeted. They hit supply lines, communication relays, and resource extraction facilities. They avoided military targets almost entirely, instead focusing on logistics and infrastructure. "They're not trying to defeat our armies," she explained to the increasingly frantic council. "They're trying to make our armies irrelevant." The turning point came when the humans captured Admiral Thekvor's flagship. Not destroyed, captured. They had somehow infiltrated the vessel during a routine patrol, disabled the crew with non-lethal sonic weapons, and taken control of the entire ship. The Admiral found himself locked in his own brig with a human female who introduced herself as Captain Sarah Chen. "Afternoon, Admiral," Chen said pleasantly, offering him what appeared to be a hot beverage. "Coffee? It's from Earth. We thought you might like to try it while we discuss terms." "Terms?" Thekvor sputtered. "You're primitives, barbarians. How did you—" "Oh, that," Chen said, settling into his own command chair with casual confidence. "Turns out your people never heard of computer viruses, or social engineering, or about 50 other things we've been doing to each other for centuries. See? You made a fundamental mistake, Admiral." "What mistake?" Chen's smile was predatory. "You assumed that because we fight each other, we don't know how to fight. Truth is, we're really, really good at war because we've had so much practice. And now?" She gestured around the captured bridge. "Now we've got all your toys to play with, too." Within a cycle, human forces had captured 3 more capital ships, a orbital defense platform, and somehow convinced an entire Verdani agricultural world to switch sides by demonstrating something called crop rotation that increased their yields by 300%. High Counselor Vorthak's light had dimmed to a barely visible pale blue when he finally called for a ceasefire. "How?" he asked Zekthara privately after the official surrender. "How did we lose to a species that hasn't even unified their own world?" Zekthara's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. "That's exactly why we lost, Counselor. We've been unified for so long, we forgot what competition looks like. Humans never stopped competing with each other. They never stopped innovating, adapting, evolving. We handed them the galaxy's greatest military challenge, and they treated it like—" She paused, searching for the human term she'd learned. "Like a particularly interesting game. And now? Now they're offering us trade agreements, cultural exchanges, and something called mutual defense pacts. Apparently they're quite generous winners." Vorthak's light flickered uncertainly. "Should we be afraid?" Zekthara considered the question carefully. "Counselor, I've studied their history. They have a saying, 'Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.' I suggest we try very hard to remain in the first category." In the depths of space, Captain Sarah Chen reviewed the latest intelligence reports and smiled. The galaxy had wanted a war, and Earth had been more than happy to oblige. Now came the really interesting part: winning the peace. After all, humans had been practicing that even longer than they'd been practicing war.